Yes, hello, good morning, everybody. It is true I do torture Kathleen with pictures of Hot Pockets that I eat at the office. So I know she loves it deep down inside. Is everybody, are you able to see my screen right now?
Yes, you're good.
All right, sweet. Today I'm going to talk about some development tools, reporting, and integration, focusing on the integration side. So actually really appreciated Joe's presentation there a moment ago, discussing how the cell technologies tool that they're using integrates with Plex in terms of being able to track additional information from outside sources. So we'll kind of touch on that type of topic here in just a couple minutes as we get going. Real quick, we're going to talk briefly about some of the reporting tools in Plex, including SQL development environment, Visionplex and Intelliplex. These are all customer accessible tools, as well as then we'll get into API, application programming interfaces, and integration, and some of the existing integration examples that we have within Plex right now. Using SQL development environment and Visionplex, you guys can actually create your own custom queries. You can create custom Visionplex screens and reports where you can actually research specific data issues. You can find out, a little bit more about what's in the background of the database than just what shows on a given screen. So just a quick example up here, just returning a short query here that returns parts that don't have a bill of material in their first operation. So it's a kind of a useful tool when you're trying to look and see what issues you may have if any parts were set up incomplete or incorrectly. Then within Visionplex, you can create and manage your own custom screens and reports. The Visionplex wizard within the PCN, where you can build screens, existing Visionplex screens, many of which are Plex designed. Others could be designed by you guys or by Rev Group or another partner. Those screens can also be manipulated, certain filters added or removed, columns reordered based on your specific needs for reporting purposes. And Intelliplex, for those that aren't familiar with it, is a business intelligence tool, so similar to Crystal Reports or BI. You can create and distribute and automatically distribute those custom reports, charts, and dashboards. They're also accessible directly from the Plex menu if you sync them within Plex and enable them on the menu access, but can be a very useful tool for reporting out business intelligence more so than just static reporting. As you can see, you can get very graphical, more so that you can do naturally with Visionplex as well. Just to call out, Intelliplex actually does run, it's a third-party application, and it does run off the ODBC connection in Plex, which is an integration in and of itself through the ODBC. So Intelliplex does pull off the report server through that connection. And the ODBC connection is a module that you can subscribe to in Plex. So you could use, again, Power BI or Crystal Reports or any other third-party software that you'd like using the ODBC connection to develop BI reports. So those are some of the kind of the basic reporting capabilities that are available and accessible to anyone within Plex. And the next level of development integration gets into APIs, which is a term that a lot of people may have heard, but some people don't fully understand. API itself means application programming interface, is more or less a resource that can be made available so that you can connect to a database or connect to another application, read or write data as required. Again, it allows the existing interaction with the existing application, accessing data and functionality of that. A web service, if you've heard that term within Plex, is an API. It's a type of API that's available over the internet. So naturally, Plex being a cloud-based solution, relies heavily on web service APIs. And how APIs are used, APIs are data sources within Plex, many of which are accessible to some degree within your PCN. Screen called data sources can provide you a list of inputs and output data that is available for a given data source or API. These data sources, some of them are available in Visionplex. You could create reports off of them or applications off of them. Others are available through API and web services to integrate existing applications. So there's a good bit of tools that you have at your disposal to be able to identify specific data sources that may be useful in a given reporting or integration project. So when we talk about integration and leveraging those APIs to connect multiple systems together, we can think of it as kind of like a certain workflow or process flow for different activities within your company. In Joe's presentation, he was focused on the shipping department, receiving department, managing dock times and times that trucks were waiting in the docks, if there were any detention charges or anything like that. Similarly, on the front end, we can use CRM applications or CPQ, configure price quote applications, to integrate with Plex to drive our customer relationships, our customer management, our overall opportunity management, and custom product configurations as required. Salesforce, Configure One, and Plex are all, of course, distinct applications, but using the API that these applications provide us, we can actually make connections between them and create an environment where customer lists, part lists, bills of material, et cetera, are synced between the different systems. And we can leverage each system's unique capabilities to further our business needs. So in this example here, in Configure One, we can dynamically build a bill of material based on certain selections regarding how we want to configure the back end of a delivery truck, including lift gates, the cabs, etc. Once that's complete, once that configuration is complete, we can pass that over into Plex, and we can actually dynamically build the part, the process routing, the bill of material, the approved work centers. We can handle all the part engineering functionality within Plex through the integration between Configure One and Plex. This enables us to sell products that we've never built before or that we haven't built for quite a while with updated pricing, pricing based on bill of material components, certain process routing times, etc. And again, we can do that all automatically. And how it works, you can think of it where there's a certain front-end application. In this case, it could be Configure One. And when that quote and that order gets placed for that truck, excuse me, we'll access some initial API. These may be API coming out of Configure One. And then we'll hit certain API between Salesforce and Plex to write different values. So we can write opportunity values, what the quote price is back to Salesforce. We can write the order, the customer information as required into Plex, and we can stage that order for production within Plex. As we go through the integration process, we need to, when we actually go to make these connections between the two systems, you can look at it as different cloud applications, and in the center is an integration platform, sometimes called a middleware. The middleware can be a static application that someone develops that pulls data from one system and writes it to the other. It could also be an integration platform as a service, such as Boomi, which can help us connect the different applications to each other. And similar to Plex or Salesforce or Configure One, remains cloud hosted and scalable across multiple organizations. All of those systems then ultimately connect through the integration platform to the on-premise applications, including the workstations, the PLCs, et cetera, as required within your facilities. So kind of looking at that one a little bit differently, you can think of Salesforce communicating with Boomi, Configure One communicating with Boomi, and Plex communicating with Boomi, all passing data back and forth, all driven by the users within your facilities, by the equipment within your facilities, etc. So ultimately, it becomes a fairly seamless, near real-time application where data can be passed back and forth between several different systems in a very quick and efficient manner. So some of the existing integrations, these are fairly standard and common integrations with Plex, include Salesforce, Avalara's AvaTax product, Authorize.net for credit card processing, Demandcaster and Core's Mach 2, that you may know, are actually Plex products now, but they have a long-standing history as integrations with Plex. Configure 1 on the CPQ side, time clocks and payroll systems also integrate with Plex. Of course, Intelliplex and the granddaddy of all integrations, EDI, is in fact an integration between Plex and iConnect, which itself is more or less an integration between two systems as it is. Of course, there's a lot of benefits to pursuing certain development. Of course, there can be costs related to it, but it's not something that should be easily dismissed as something that you don't want to pursue due to cost. Through development, you can get specific and relevant reporting. So exactly the data that you or your users or your management need at your fingertips without anything extra, without missing any additional column. So it's certainly a benefit to specific and relevant reporting. You can define business-specific logic that includes efficiency calculations, margin calculations if they're not within the standard reports within Plex. And of course, when considering integration, the benefits of integration include automation, reduction of chances for errors when multiple systems are in use. Speed, you can create those connections real time. You can also create them to sync on a regular schedule or push transactions at the point in which they happen. As Joe did, they were able to extend Plex functionality and leverage a specialized application through Cell Technologies that is similar with tax management, AVA tax, payroll, including ADP, ASRS and RFID information systems, field service applications, etc. And of course, you can always enhance your customer experience, improve their customer satisfaction using self-service applications and real-time feedback from your customers. All right. With that, that is the end of my presentation. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
It does look like we have a question, Jim. Let's see. Can a flag be added to the UX data source screen to show which data sources have been whitelisted for our customer group?
Unfortunately, I don't believe so right now. It is a question that we could ask Plex to see if that could be added or if they would be able to provide a list on demand.
And let's see, we have another question that just came in. If a supplier lowers a cost of a particular part and we update it in Plex, will it update the cost throughout all other systems? Also, will it configure costs based upon the current customer catalog association and based upon their specific costing setup?
So absolutely, all of those things are possible. It depends on what you want out of a specific integration, what applications you're integrating with. In the example that I used of configure 1, where we're custom configuring a part, we are pulling the current part cost. So we'll pull the part cost over from Plex for any components. So as long as the primary cost model has been recalculated, that will sync nightly with configure 1. Again, that can be managed differently. It could sync hourly. We could pull a different value or a special cost model if we wanted to. But in that example, we are pulling the current calculated part cost over, and from there adding margin to the price at the end.
Okay, great. I do not see any other questions. So thank you for that, closing out the day.